Welcome all. I'm very pleased today to welcome Jumoke Dada. Jumoke grew a business to a multi-million-dollar business in Nigeria. The company is called Taeillo, an e-commerce furniture and lifestyle brand, which is based in both Lagos and Nairobi. She was in Armenia for the FemInno conference, a tech conference which is the first and biggest women in tech conference in the region. It sought to showcase and empower women in technology, business, and science. So, Jumoke, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
So first off, you were a guest speaker at the conference. I'm wondering what you thought of the conference, what it was like as an experience, and also what you thought of the country. What do you think of Armenia?
I'll start from the second one, which is like Armenia is really a beautiful country. When I was coming to Armenia from Nigeria, a lot of people were like, oh, which country is Armenia and all of that. But getting here, it's been short of amazing. Like the people, the food, it's been interesting. I think for the conference, I was really excited coming, for the conference because I feel, it's an opportunity for, younger women, younger girls, to kind of see people who have maybe done something or achieved something and get inspired from there to be able to like do more. And I think Armenia needs more of that right now. Yeah.
And yourself and the other women who took part in the conference, you said that when sharing these stories, many younger girls are inspired, they learn about the experiences. Did you have women before you that helped inspire you? Were there stories that were shared that helped you to gain traction in the tech sector?
Yeah, definitely. You've heard of like stories, and I was privileged to be mentored by some of them. So I think like the mentoring bit was really important to guide me, impress on me, trying to create something. Sometimes you have the internet to look at some of these people you aspire to be and learn from them. Yeah, so I think.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, when you were hearing about experiences of Armenian women, people working in the tech sector, did you notice any similarities to the Nigerian experience? Was there anything similar between the two cultures in your opinion?
Maybe if I get to like stay more in Armenia, I might be able to like see the difference. But I think like one thing is similar, and which is like the hunger to achieve so much more. That hunger is like Nigerians are like people who are so interested in achieving so much more. And I think I've seen that here because you see the young girls come around. I'm like, oh, here in my village, it was like I can't go to school, but right now I'm here, I'm learning, I'm going to go back and make a change. You feel that hunger, you feel that zeal, and I think that zeal is something that can match both cultures.
And during your experience, I mean your journey, were your friends and family quite supportive in the beginning or throughout the journey? Because for example, a lot of Armenian women have the experience of not having approval from some of their family members when it comes to going to university, working, leaving the country. So were your family and friends rather supportive?
All right, at the beginning, no. It was more or less like, what's she trying to do? Worst case, worst thing, sorry. I used my school fees, to create my first piece of furniture. Okay. So it wasn't, my parents were like, oh, this girl must be, and it was something like, what are you doing? And, for me, it was really like, I really wanted to, do so much more, and I kept on going, but now everyone is happy, and they're like, oh, yeah.
And you started with zero capital,
yeah.
Quite a challenge. I'm wondering, how did you start, and when was tech incorporated into your initiatives?
So I'm an architect by profession, and the way I approached the business when I started was I wanted to do it more or less like an exhibition kind of thing where I make some pieces, people come maybe buy a few pieces and leave. But at some point I realized that for me to reach like the mass of people that I need, then I need to leverage technology as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So that was when we transitioned from B2B to a D2C. Where we moved to e-commerce. And even when we started the e-commerce thing, we realized that, the traditional way of doing a business, of having big showrooms doesn't work. So for instance, you leverage things like virtual reality to create virtual showrooms that saves you a lot of, square space. And also leverage things like augmented reality where people can, simulate those pieces in their homes and make buying decisions without visiting a showroom. All of those things are like where the future of commerce is going. going, and it's very important that you tap into it early as much as possible. More so, when you leverage technology into your business, it makes it way cheaper for you. Yeah.
And I mean, what role did your sex play in your journey? Initially, did you find that patriarchal attitudes or misogynistic attitudes were getting in the way? And how did you, what was it like to make those strides in tech as a woman? Because in Armenia, one of the statistics that is often brought up is that women are actually a major constituency of the tech sector, and it's growing. So I'm wondering, did you initially have men or other people that were almost underestimating you because of your gender, or was that not the case?
I had that. I had a lot of that. But for me, I don't listen to the voices. I just focus on what I need to do and achieve the things that I need to do. Luckily, I had a father who taught me to be confident as a woman. So, having to get into the real world and see how it goes, it was just more or less staying grounded, staying focused. More so, the women that mentored me already warned me about it, so I was more or less prepared for what was coming.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of tech, Armenians, many Armenians will say that one of the hopes for Armenia is the tech sector, because it isn't based on raw materials, certain things are needed, and you can have a flourishing tech sector. Is that similarly the case in Nigeria? What is the tech sector like in Nigeria? Is it becoming more vibrant? What can Armenia perhaps even learn from the Nigerian experience?
In Nigeria, I think we have 5 unicorns and more unicorns coming. Like Wale say in Nigeria, tech is the new oil. And the tech industry has really done a lot of things that maybe the government couldn't do for us, especially with young people. In my mother's generation, they more or less worked for the government, but people like me and more other people are creating jobs, creating opportunities. They have even given us platforms, to be able to express ourselves home and abroad. And I think it's the same thing here. Tech is the future, tech is the now. Tech is creating opportunities that young people didn't know existed some years back. And now they have the opportunity to express themselves using lines of codes that, we couldn't express those feelings to our parents or our patriarchal bosses. Yeah, no, it's creating a lot of opportunities and, that young people, didn't know existed way back. So.
I mean, what could be done to further, what can be done so that the potential of the tech sector can be fully realized? Do you think that education, the state, getting women involved in the sector, what were some of the challenges, the obstacles during your time working in the tech sector that have, been alleviated perhaps, or are still in place? What can you tell us about the obstacles?
I think something that's really helped the Nigerian tech sector, for instance, is the belief that the outside world, so for instance, Silicon Valley now has in Nigeria because of some few successes that they've seen. And I think for a country like Armenia, it is very important that, you expand, the progress that has been made so far in the tech space, so that the world can see that something is really happening here. And when the world see that something is really happening here, I've heard that a lot of tech startups and big companies now trying to move into Armenia. When people know that something is happening here, there's talent, there are problems to be solved, then you have more investment coming in. When you have more investment coming in and a lot of people are backing founders, are backing female founders, then you begin to see more people come up to say, oh, you know what, it's not that I create my ideas and there are no funds, to make it bigger. There are people coming in to support. So I feel like more supports coming into Armenia will really help, in going a long way and also helping the ecosystem grow faster.
And Lagos is a metropolis. I mean, it's a massive city. Is the tech sector in Nigeria concentrated in Lagos, or is it more spread out? Because in Armenia, there is a narrative of the tech sector being concentrated in Yerevan, and now people trying to make efforts to spread it out more across the country.
Yeah, in Nigeria, Lagos is the capital of tech. Most tech startups are in Lagos.
Do you think it's realistic for people to want or to try and make efforts to push tech into other cities and regions?
Majorly, the reason why I think like tech is more concentrated in Lagos is because it's the commercial capital, right? So you have lots of businesses going on, most of the meetings, most of the startups or companies that you are serving, are in Lagos. For instance, Abuja is the capital of Nigeria. Traveling from Abuja to Lagos, back and forth, doesn't make sense for me as an entrepreneur. I would rather just stay where, where the people, the resources, and most of those things are concentrated.
And finally, I just want to ask, why do you think a conference like FemInno was important, and what would be some of your final thoughts now that your journey to Armenia is coming to an end?
Yeah, I would say like conferences like FemInno are quite important because, for a long period of time, women have been silent. Even those who have like done something successful or are successful in their own rights have been silent. And because of their silence, a lot of young girls who have potentials don't get to hear their stories, don't get to know that they can become something way bigger than what they can imagine. And with conferences like FemInno, with people coming around to share their stories, share their experiences, you get to realize that, oh, this person is also like me. This person didn't just achieve an overnight success. This person too has failed like me. This person is shy like me. When you begin to see, yourself in people that have succeeded and they get to tell the stories of their journey, you realize that you have other people, other young girls, come out to say, if this person can do it, then I can do it. And I think that's the whole essence of having a conference like FemInno, yeah.
Okay. Well, Ms. Dada, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for joining us on CivilNet.